I don't know. It's gone beyond thankfulness for things anymore. I used to play the vanity game of, well, I sure am glad I got this and I got that and I got this and I got that, and I don't live under the bridge, and and that's really a form of vanity. That's not actually gratitude. It's another ego play. But what happens with the spiritual experience when the heart opens up, and the experience of the unconditional love that is God begins to be experienced, then the gratitude becomes unconditional also. Because I think gratitude and love are the same thing. And what we're dealing with here is the limitations of language. Now, language is man-made effort to try to talk about or communicate reality. And it works really good for solid things. I'm sitting on a chair. If I told you to go to get a chair in the other room, you would know how to find a chair. See? But if I go to tell you to go find some happiness in the other room, well, what is it? Show it to me. Show me a picture of it. The things we talk about on the spiritual path cannot be photographed, measured, or weighed. They can't be, so therefore they're quote unscientific and irrational, but they are experiential. See? And so what happens is we undergo an internal change, which is what the spiritual awakening is. The spirit awakens in the heart, and then life becomes guided by love rather than driven by fear. And that's what we're trying to bring about with the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is only incidentally about alcoholism and addiction. That's the first major block to finding any true happiness, and that we have to find physical sobriety first. But in order to go all the way down the road and move past a place that I call sobriety and find some true joy and happiness, we're going to have to learn to live a totally different way, and this is going to require that we become more and more like God. And God is all loving and all forgiving and all merciful. But God's universe has laws which cannot be broken. So jump off a building and you will experience deceleration sickness when you hit the ground. I can fly like a bird. I've proved that several times. I just can't land for shit. That gravity thing is tough. I discovered that last year in Spain. Anyway, fell off a segue. Another story. Anyway, so we're going to talk about, we invent words for states of consciousness and ideas that the words, everybody hears a different word. My understanding of gratitude and love and whatever has evolved and continues to evolve as I walk this path. But the truths and the principles that underlie the practice, the spiritual practice in the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous will lead you to happiness and joy and a sense of being connected to life at a much larger and deeper level. Unfortunately, it seems that people who do the meeting makers make it deal seem to be satisfied with mere freedom from active addiction, and they stop there. See, the obsession to drink and drug went away pretty fast in me both times that I sobered up. But I wasn't willing or able to do the much deeper work of looking for all the other obsessions that I had. And I was obsessively judgmental about other people. I was obsessed about what other people might think about me. I obsessed, like Dr. Paul in that story that Chuck just read, I obsessed about the flaws of other people so that I wouldn't have to think about my own. I obsessed about what other people did wrong, which gave me a cover for my misbehavior. I mean, if everybody's lying, then why should I tell the truth? If everybody's chiseling here and there, why shouldn't I chisel a bit here and there? I'm called to a higher level of integrity if I'm going to walk this path. And that's what we talk a lot about, character building. And so that it goes. This fellowship goes a lot further down the road than I realized the first time I was sober. And the last thing I'll say is there's a beautiful line in the introduction to the 12 and 12 that goes like this. It's Bill Wilson at his best. It says, AA's 12 steps are a group of principles, spiritual in nature, which if practiced as a way of life, can expel the obsession to drink and allow the sufferer to become happily and usefully whole. First time I was in here for about 4 years, 25 years ago, I got the first part of that promise. The obsession to drink left. Then I had a relapse. I came back. Now I've got both sides of that. I found happy and useful wholeness. I'm connected to life. I'm connected to God. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever God is, I am. There's no place where God ends and I begin. Think about that. I'm not here and God's there. God is here as us. He's not an absentee landlord. And so, like the book says, there's a barrier there when we first confront this idea. We have moral and philosophical convictions about Jesus or Buddha or whoever, but we can't seem to live up to them because something's blocking us. It's sort of an invisible barrier. I felt like my prayers were going to the ceiling and bouncing off. I couldn't. It didn't work. My prayers weren't answered. And so they kept saying, we're going to do the work in 4 through 9 to try to remove the barrier, to remove what's blocking us from the realization of God. Not just a belief in God. That's step 2. That's hope. True faith is the realization of God at the intersection of here and now, doing for me what I cannot do for myself. Actually, more appropriately, doing in and through me that which I could never do for myself. That's the connection we seek to make. And don't stop until you get there. Whatever you do, don't stop until you find that connection. Don't settle for sobriety and meeting makers making. Find the love. Find that capacity in yourself.